countdown is on to Super Bowl 53. We are 12 days away from the big game in Atlanta. Hi, everyone. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm Scott Hansen. This is Lindsey Rhodes. We have 2 hours to spend with you if you can spare it.
2 hours, and we've got details about the team's plans for the Super Bowl. They're starting to leak out. The Patriots announcing today they're going to leave on Sunday, Scott.
Can't wait to get there.
A send-off being planned for their fans. They've done this a few times before. Pats on their way to their 3rd straight Super Bowl after beating the Chiefs in their 8th straight AFC Championship game in really impressive fashion. A strong start, a furious 4th quarter. Take a 3-point lead on a 4-yard Rex Burkhead score to get the Chiefs the ball back with 39 seconds. Mahomes make a couple of plays, hands it over to Harrison Butker to kick a 39-yarder to send it to overtime where the Patriots win the coin flip. Matt Slater calling heads. Brady gets the ball. Tony Romo predicts every single play, and that's all she wrote. Pats are headed back to the big game. That's Rex Burkhead punching it in. It's going to be the 9th time in Brady's career in the Super Bowl. He's facing a team now with a guy who could be a matchup nightmare for him, Aaron Donald. Here's Bill Belichick on him earlier today.
Look at the Rams' defensive line, specifically from a pass rush perspective. What stands out to you about the challenge of blocking them?
Yeah, really good. Got great inside power and quickness, and got great edge rush. Got a lot of good players, a lot of guys that are hard to block. So yeah, they're good. Do a really good job.
Well,
Wade
one of those
does excellent coach, and he does a great job with all those guys there. They have a variety of players, and they're all a problem.
It's curious what stands out to you specifically about Aaron Donald and his style of play.
Everything, pretty much unblockable.
Pretty much unblockable. And that's interesting for this reason. The book on Brady, for as long as I can remember, it's hit him, it's get him off the spot. And if you've got somebody who could do that from the inside, that's even better because as you see here, Brady has struggled against interior pressure this season with a passer rating of 63.1. Nobody gets interior pressure in this league better than the Rams, and that's because of Aaron Donald. He had kind of a quiet night this past day. I keep saying night. They played in the early game against the Saints. How do you see this matchup going?
I see it kind of being the same mentality, the same intensity that the Rams have been having all year, and that's to get pressure on the quarterback. And somebody that you really need to get pressure on is Tom Brady. So you see the Rams have that ingredient to get to him, as you mentioned, and Aaron Donald is going to be the leader of that. Now, against the Saints, he was getting double-teamed, and he was getting close, but wasn't quite getting there. As you said, he hasn't had the impact that he's been having throughout the playoffs, and that's okay. He's getting double, but he's finding ways to get in and get in quarterbacks' faces, and they understand that. So a lot of people will say Tom Brady also gets rid of the ball pretty fast. You're absolutely right. He's one of the best at it, right? But I still give the advantage to the L.A. Rams, and the reason being is that secondary. They got guys in that secondary that can hold up receivers, can kind of slow them down in and out their breaks and cause a quarterback, even a Tom Brady, to hold on to that ball an extra second and give Aaron Donald that chance to get to him. He's normally quite not just getting there in time, but now going up against Tom Brady in a receiving corps that is not as shifty as most, Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh can get there.
It's going to take an all-out effort from everybody on both sides of the ball. This is a really interesting matchup, and Reggie Wayne will have lots to say about it. Reggie Wayne, who, of course, has some Super Bowl experience of his own. We'll talk about that still ahead. First, though, we're going to bring in Ian Rappaport, who is today down in Mobile, Alabama for the first day of Senior Bowl practices, and we'll get to the information about all of that still ahead. First, though, what's this about a laser pointer in Sunday's game and a league investigation?
Yeah, but the league is, in fact, looking into the apparent use of a laser pointer, something that mimicked that on Tom Brady's helmet. It actually was visible on Chris Hogan's helmet as well, and not just in the second quarter in a random play. This was in the fourth quarter, important parts of the game. It did appear that a fan or fans was using a laser pointer or something to shine off of Tom Brady's helmet. This is not actually the first time we've had a situation like this in the NFL. This also apparently was used in the Mexico game a couple years ago. A league spokesman did say that they're looking into it and trying to identify the fan that apparently used it.
Reggie Wayne sitting next to me saying it's actually happened with him before, Ian. Also some big news coming out of Kansas City earlier today. They didn't get that win against the Patriots, and it cost somebody their job.
It did. It was Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, longtime defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, was fired today after the performance that his unit had on the field on Sunday, obviously letting Tom Brady go all the way down the field and drive for the game-winning touchdown to put them in the Super Bowl. And obviously it looked worse for Bob Sutton when you consider the fact that Tony Romo on the broadcast was literally calling out the plays the Patriots would end up running, and no one, it seemed, from Kansas City was aware of that. And he has been a source of frustration inside that building when he talked to players about the lack of adjustments, especially mid-game adjustments. Now the Kansas City Chiefs are looking for a new defensive coordinator. Some names to consider: Dennis Allen from the Saints, who is a free agent, John Pagano, and Steve Spagnuolo.
And Tony Romo, maybe put a call on him. Nope, he's busy. Okay. Thank you very much, Ian Rappaport.
Well, the NFC Championship game, my cousin John, big Saints fan, still can't talk about it now, and it's been over 48 hours. There it is, the missed call with the biggest consequences.
Look how he's looking around, though. He's looking for the flag himself. Yeah. When the DB is looking for the flag himself, you know it's a flag.
Nickel Roby-Coleman got away with that one there on Tommy Lee Lewis. No flag. Huge consequences in this game. We ended up going into overtime. Look at the Saints still got the football first, and then they turned it over. Big pressure applied on Drew Brees by Dante Fowler, the pickoff by John Johnson, and that would lead to a Greg Zuerlein historic game-winning kick. 57 yards in the playoffs to win the game, the longest we've ever seen. And the Rams are going to the Super Bowl 26-23. And, of course, after the game, a lot of the conversation was about the missed pass interference call.
Listen, it's a hard job for those guys because it's happening fast, but I don't know if there was ever a more obvious pass interference call that, here it is, the NFC Championship game. So, tough one to swallow.
I thought Nickel Roby made a nice play. They snapped it on a quick snap and had a little wheel route coming out of the backfield. I thought it was a competitive type play, and certainly I'm not going to complain about the way that was officiated.
Obvious interference in the helmet to helmet, but that's it's done now. What's done is done.
No, I never seen the ball. Nope, never seen the ball.
Sorry to comment. I'm sure you've been asked, but have you seen the replay of the play?
No, have not seen the replay.
Do you want to?
No.
All right, time now to bring in one of the more prominent Saints-centric voices in all of national football media, a former Saints Super Bowl champion, Reggie Bush. Have you recovered, Reg?
I have not recovered, no. Okay. I'm still thinking about it.
What's your thoughts on the missed call?
My thoughts are that can't happen. A lot of guys, a lot of players, they sacrifice their bodies, they sacrifice their brain, they sacrifice their livelihoods. Families take a backseat to football. Relationships are sacrificed. There is so much that players, coaches, and organizations sacrifice to get to that moment on the biggest stage. You cannot miss the call of that magnitude, or you should not be an NFL referee.
Okay. No one argued. The refs would agree that, we missed that call and we shouldn't have missed the call. Mm-hmm. What do we do going forward?
I think going forward, you should be able to challenge any play. You get 2 challenges per half, and you can use those
anytime in the game.
Anytime in the game, you can challenge a missed call.
My defensive end got held on this play.
It can be a holding call, because you remember last year in the Kansas City Chiefs game, a game was decided because of a holding call. Remember, I think it was an offensive tackle or Travis Kelce. Yeah. Somebody had a holding call, and that decided the game for him. So too often we're seeing games decided by referees, and that can't happen. And you see, I got my yellow handkerchief.
Not changing the subject, but your outfit was a little loud.
I thought that I thought the refs might, want to use this, since they didn't pull it out in the game time. Hey, we got any refs in here?
Hey,
no, we ain't got no refs in here.
Saints fans brought their own whistles to the game.
I'm gonna throw it myself. There you go.
There you go. Nice toss there too, as well. All right. Okay. Look it was a blown call.
Yeah.
It probably it allowed the Rams to have that opportunity to do what they did.
Yeah.
That being said, the Saints offense after the first quarter was just sluggish.
Yeah.
10 points after the first quarter. Why?
Yeah, they struggled. And it's hard when you play a team twice in the same season. Usually those are divisional games, right? And when I look at the game last week when they played against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles went up 14-0 on them. We had
a game where they smoked them earlier.
Exactly. We had to fight tooth and nail to come back to win that football game. So it's the same thing in this game against the Los Angeles Rams. You have a whole season of tape on you. You've already played them once.
Akeem Talib was back for the Rams.
Talib was back. and C.J. Anderson was lights out in this game as well. To me, he was the difference maker. He is the player that makes this engine tick right now. And I think, and I hate to say this, I think C.J. Anderson may be the better option as a running back right now than Todd Gurley. Not that you don't use Todd Gurley. You still use him a lot. But I think C.J. Anderson right now has to be the workhorse.
We have plenty of Rams talk coming up, plenty of Patriots talk coming up. But as for the Saints, they look ahead to the future. They got to get creative in free agency because the draft doesn't look like it's going to help them. First 4 rounds of the draft, the Saints have 1 second-round pick, and that's it.
Don't